All right. Hello, ladies. It is January 24th. We have Jane. I always say your name wrong, so I'll let you say that once I'm done.
That's fine.
um, she is a rock star on Team Rockstar Fit. She's currently sitting at Successful 38. She is always one of the top, if not the top, volume earners in Team Rockstar Fit. I had the privilege of meeting Jane for the first time. We were in the airport. What airport were we in? Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Milwaukee Airport, going to Beaver Creek last year. And it was so funny because we're at the terminal gate, and you kind of look around and you're like, do I know anybody? Like, I know them all from the internet, but like, that girl looks like she might be into fitness, and she came over and she's like, are you? And we were all like, yes, oh my gosh. So it was cool to get to know her. That was her first event, and she was super nervous, like I was at my first event, like many of you were or will be at your first event. And it's just so cool. Every time I meet someone from Team Rockstar Fit, like we immediately feel like family, and that's how I felt with you. So it was fun getting to know you, and throughout the last year, you've literally exploded, and I've learned so much from you, and I thought the whole team needs to hear from you. So we're super pumped to have you today, and I'll let you take it away from here.
Well, that was awfully nice. Teresa, you give so much. I wish I could give half of what you give. So thank you for all you do for us. So my name is Jane Westiech, and that is an inherited name, but it's German. I live in Mequon, Wisconsin. I'm actually the mom of 4 kids, 18, 16, 15, and 10. And I do have 2 yellow labs, and one of them is elderly. So if I do have to run to let a dog out, I want to give you guys that scoop right away. I am married to Fred, who is a busy OBGYN in the area, and I have been in the fitness industry really right out of college. And I kind of want to tell you that story a little bit just because it ties into one of the things I want to tell you about. So I'm not going to give you my life story, but I went to Madison, UW, Wisconsin. I met my husband in UW marching band. Teams have always been super important to me. And actually the UW band was a big team of 400 people. So I always have had that team philosophy. Out of college, I moved to Minneapolis, and I worked for a huge chain of health clubs there called Northwest Racket Swim and Health. They're now owned by a big company. But anyways, I right out of college at like 24, I was in health clubs, and I was in membership actually. So I was in the sales end right away. So that might give you a little bit of idea of why I have a different background, not only personal training and all that, which I'll tell you about, but that chain of health clubs, when I look back onto it taught me so much, and I'm going to get back to that. So after health clubs, and I moved back to Milwaukee, and I worked for my family business. My father was an entrepreneur here, but I always stayed in fitness. I worked for a chain of health clubs here, just mainly to get a free membership. I also did corporate fitness at our company, which was 50 employees. So I also love the idea of corporate wellness, which Minneapolis was so far ahead of the curve. That was 34 years ago. They were doing corporate fitness. And so I kind of brought that to my father's business. And then when my father passed away, my heart wasn't in the family business. So I made the decision to purchase a franchise, and I opened up a Fitness Together in the 3rd ward of Milwaukee, which is kind of like a up and coming area, a warehouse district. And then I also purchased one that had been in existence here in my suburb of Mequon. That was right when the market crashed then after that. And I saw fitness going a different way. I started to run a boot camp and small group training out of the Fitness Together model. The franchise made the decision to slap my hand and say, no, the model is personal training. You can't do that. I was always frustrated with that because I was paying royalties, even though, it wasn't their model. I saw fitness changing, and they weren't, in my opinion, smart enough to see that happening. So I said to my husband, I think it's time that we move on. So what I did was I created a separate business that was running boot camps, and my intent was I wanted to be home with my kids, was to sell the fitness togethers and just kind of be back to just me doing fitness and kind of making my own schedule and being able to be with my kids. And at that time, I was introduced to Beachbody. I had 2 kids that were 15 months apart. I could not get out of the house to go work out, so I would do P90X in my basement. And a lot of people don't know that part of my journey, but it was something that I did, for the same reasons many of you with little kids do it now. You just can't find time. Also, for me to go train in my studio, people were always asking me questions. I just couldn't be there, So anyways, that's how I kind of got introduced to Beachbody. And then my true business went into boot camps and into small group training and what you kind of see me doing today. However, I have a busy OBGYN husband, so I couldn't do it in the evenings. I pretty much was just doing like a mom's class. But I still love what I did. I was very involved in the community. I do a lot with youth football and a lot with the community in terms of fitness. So I was kind of a celebrity in some ways. People knew me as a fitness person. So then I'm always looking to get more certifications and things like that. Enter Carrie Woodall, this beautiful blonde, as Rebecca knows, because Rebecca was there with me, woman that I was mesmerized. It's Trina's sister, if any of you know Carrie. And she was teaching a TRX class at her studio called Blaze in Middleton, Wisconsin. It's this amazing studio if you ever have a chance to go visit. She has this beautiful space above a firehouse, very unique. It's got, I am in love with the TRX, and it's got like 30 maybe, Rebecca, 40 TRXs hung on these A-frames. And she walks into the room and is just like Trina. She just, you're automatically like, who is this woman and how can I be like her? We went across the street for a little break, and she was talking about how she was going to have a mocha because she didn't have her Shakeology. And I said to her, are you a Beachbody coach? And she goes, yeah, I'm a Beachbody coach. And then she goes, you may know my sister. And I go, your sister? And she goes, yeah. My sister is Trina Gray. And I go, your sister is Trina Gray? And I knew Trina from the health club industry. I didn't know Trina as a Beachbody coach. I knew her as a speaker at IDEA, and I knew her as somebody who was just so involved in the business side of health clubs. Because you have to remember, even though, Trina wasn't necessarily in health clubs, I was always getting those trade magazines and everything like that, always just still kind of the health club girl. And so I knew Trina. I think I even got her newsletters. And Carrie was like, oh, you know Trina? I go, yeah, from IDEA. And like, I knew Trina. And then I went home, and I even said to Rebecca in the car, I'm like, wow, I think I'm going to check this out. Like this might be something that I could do in my business now. So I don't want to bore you, but fast forward, I talked with Carrie. I stalked her. I stalked Trina. I checked out their Beachbody, and it was right when BOD was like, I don't know if you want to call it beta, but that was a year and a half ago. It was beta pretty much. I mean, it was really coming into, but there wasn't all access. You were still like, I have Core to Force on DVDs here. I mean, it wasn't quite what it is today for those of you who have been around. But in my mind, I was like, this is where things are going. Beachbody on Demand. And I remember Teresa being in Colorado and actually talking to Vito at a cocktail party and going, Vito, when is this going to be all they have? Because when it is BOD, that is when I am going to go, I know I can make this happen. Because here's the thing, I did not want to be saying to people as a fitness professional, this is the best program ever. You got to do this program. And then 3 months later, have to say to them, this is the best program ever. You have to do this program, okay? I did not want to be that girl, okay? Because I don't think every program is right for everyone. And that is just the God honest truth, okay? I recently, before 80 Day Obsession, I made a decision to do P90X3 because I think P90X3 is a better fit for men, and I want to make sure of that. So part of what I want to talk to you about is the education piece. So I have 3 things that are going to tie into that long-winded story, okay? The first one is this: health clubs, okay? I was 23, I think I was, looking at this huge chain of health clubs. And every single week, the health club would run this promotion in the Minneapolis Tribune, where it was this full-page article or ad on the back saying, new members, 4 months free when you sign up, okay? And I'm assistant membership manager of 13 clubs. Didn't really know what I was doing, to be quite honest. And I would get these calls of current members who would say to me, why don't you offer me anything? I've been coming to this club for 15 years, and all I see every week in the Minneapolis Tribune is you're offering 4 months free to new members. What about me? And so when I started this business and when I started my personal training studios, I had this mindset of those calls that I always was getting from people. And I thought to myself, when I get a customer, and this was true of my personal training business, my boot camps, and especially Beachbody, when I get a customer, I am going to make sure that I treat that customer like royalty. That customer was hard for me to get, that I had to gain their trust, and I need to make sure that I give them everything that I said that I was going to give, okay? And so when people ask me why I don't pay a lot of attention to I do pay attention to my Success Club numbers because it's always driven me. But my PV, I wasn't really that on top of until I heard Trina say it on a call. I'm like, really? I'm doing well? Oh, okay. Well, I've only focused on the fact that I need to make sure, and have always thought about that person calling me at the health club saying, what about me? I'm already your client. What about me? And you guys, that is what I'm here to tell you. Like, it's not always about those 2 Success Club points that you're trying to get, that new person. What about the person that's already there? That's already said to you, raised their hand and said to you, I trust you, help me, you know? And I hope that I do a good job of always helping my my clients. Ryan Schrader, who is one of Dagmar, I think some of you have seen on calls, he worked for me at Fitness Together. He was my operations manager, and he and I met last week. And we always like to talk about the times when he worked for me at Fitness Together, because we had a really great relationship. And he would do some of the selling of the packages, and I would do a lot of the selling of the packages, these big $3,000 packages of personal training. And he and I talked when we met at this coffee shop about the thing that worried us the most when we would sell these huge packages to people. Sometimes, you know, even I had even sold, 100 session packages, which is a lot of dollars. That the thing that always worried us was the trainer, the one that was training that client, going to come through with all those promises that we had given that person in that sales consultation. Because I wasn't training at that time because I couldn't, because of my kids being so little. But I can always make sure from talking to an employee that was going to happen, but I could never really, really make sure that every single thing I said was going to happen. Well, in this business, what I'm doing today, I can. And it's a great feeling, or I can at least try. And I say that because we all have people who ghost you, even as a client who ghosts you, and you can reach out to them and you can reach out to them and you can just let them know you're there. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to know that it doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, how's your health and fitness? Maybe you just need to reach out to them and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? It doesn't always have to come back to fitness. That person reached out to you maybe because something else wasn't right in their life, and maybe that's what's going on with that person. and you just need to reach out to them. So that's step number one. Step number two, and you guys feel free to ask questions. I want this to be interactive. Number one.
Here, let's pause quick. Does anyone have any questions or anything that like raised a flag with you listening to her talk? I know the one thing I could think of when you were just kind of introducing, like, you came from the super strong fitness background, you know, Trina, from, you know, conferences and Idea World and stuff like that, but you didn't know the Beachbody Trina. And it's just crazy because, like, looking at her, it's like, I don't know, it's just cool to know Beachbody's not your entire life. It's a piece of your life, and you can have success in all areas of your life, which I think is really cool. Also, another thing, I know me personally, I get a little bit nervous talking to fit pros because, number one, I'm not a fit pro, and number two, it's kind of intimidating because a lot of them have negative attitudes towards Beachbody for whatever reason. So I'm curious, what do you suggest as non-fit pros, like how to talk to fit pros? And I love that you mentioned, like, I, just like you, needed something to do at home when my kids were little, and you would go to the gym and everyone would bug you and talk to you and you wouldn't get an effective workout in. Like, that's such a good point. You know, I never really thought of that. But if you're a trainer, a well-known and respected trainer at a gym, you probably go there and people bug you the whole time, which is good and bad. But that just kind of opened my eyes to, wow, like, it would be nice if a trainer could get in an amazing workout at home before they hit the gym for the day to do their clients. Like, just things like that you don't really think about until you hear a trainer say that.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I don't know how many fit pros we have on and how many we don't, but I actually talked with one of my coaches last week about this. A lot of people struggle with the fact that they're not a fit pro and they can't be an expert, okay? Well, I got to tell you guys, okay? Maybe some people think I'm an expert. I did 12 programs last year, okay? Until I did 12 programs last year, I was not an expert on Beachbody. You know, I don't consider that I'm an expert on TRX. I have way more to learn from Carrie. You know, you can be an expert on whatever you put your mind to, okay? And the other thing that I told my one of my coaches, who was struggling with the fact that she doesn't have a nutrition background, doesn't have a fitness background, I said, you know what? Why don't you think of yourself as being a life coach? Why do Beachbody coaches always think that they have to be an expert at fitness? I tell you one thing, my goal for this year, if you guys want to really know one of my goals for this year, is this. People need to learn a routine. There is no such thing as bad fitness or bad movement. You can get good fitness anywhere, you know, and that's not a knock at Beachbody. You know, you can go to a stairs at Concordia University here, set your timer, go up and down the stairs and freaking get a pretty decent workout. There is no such thing as bad fitness. There's a such thing as bad nutrition, you know, and there's definitely a such thing as a bad mindset. So why don't you guys start working on somebody's mindset and on their routine? If people aren't successful at 80-day obsession, it has nothing to do with the fitness program. It has everything to do with their routine, because they're not planning. When I had the fitness together, I had created, and I probably have a file on this somewhere, and it was called The Perfect Plan. It was a whole program that I had written called The Perfect Plan. That sounds to me like life coaching. That has nothing to do with fitness. It was still the same issues those people had, 10, 15 years ago. They couldn't figure out a way to fit it in. It had nothing to do with their fitness being bad. It had to do with the compound effect, that they could not figure out a way to fit it in their day.
That's so, just thinking of that. It's like, I'm reading Tanya's comment here. She said, I've noticed if you focus too much on fitness, it scares newbies from joining. as it can be intimidating to many people. I recently focused on helping my people in all aspects: food, life, friendships, daily routines, book, and fitness. I've become a better coach, not always talking about fitness. I could not agree more. I honestly think if you would pay attention in the network to successful coaches and what they're posting about on social media, it's very little fitness and it's a lot of everything else. It's a lot of inspiration, positivity, mindset, things like that. It's a full picture. It's not just getting people to sign up for BOD and whatever. It's like you want people to sign up and you want them to become lifers. You don't want them to sign up for a 21-day group and then reach out to you 6 months later and want to join another group. Like, that's not the point. The point is you work your ass off to get Success Club. You put yourself out there on social media consistently. These people sign up with you. The number one mistake I see most coaches making is letting those people disappear after one group or not caring enough about them in their group to make sure you're following up and like keeping them engaged to your next group. You work so hard every month at Success Club, like don't throw it away every month and start from scratch. Build on that. Momentum breeds momentum, but you have to coddle and care for what you've worked so hard to get in the first place.
Totally. Exactly the point I wanted to make. And, you know, Dagmar and Ryan, who've been around me a long time, know that, you know, this is as much about the challenger that's in that current group as it is about the new person coming in, which is what I talked about in the very beginning. You know, when I was filling out my Team Rockstar Fit, the competition for the weight loss, my person was a weight loss person. I was going through her transformation. I think this is really fascinating. She lives in this community. She and I have never met. Her son was involved in Mequon-Thiensville Cardinal football. I told you guys I do a lot with the youth, and so I've been their conditioning coach for the last 8 years. I do that volunteer. I don't take any payment. It's one of the things I love. So she met me through that. So it was one of those situations where she knew me, but I didn't know her. I still have not met her. She has been doing programs for a little over a year with me. And when I was filling out the stuff on the WooFoo form, I had to write down how many challenges, what her most recent challenge was. And she completed 25 challenge groups with me. So, and I'm not telling you that I do it right. I have been in fitness. So my job is to show up every day and teach a class. That's how I view my challenge groups, okay? I'm not telling you guys you have to do that, okay? But I have been doing boot camps for the last 9 years. Why would I not show up every day and run a challenge group? You know, first of all, the competition here in Mequon is crazy. So if I ever don't run a challenge group, people are just going to go find somewhere else to go. But my point is, she lost 52 pounds. We've never met, but she has told me more about her life than a lot of my live clients. Why? Because it's much easier to share things. I have a comm arts degree, so I can tell you this. They call in interpersonal communication, they tell you that everything is given. Somebody will give you information and then they'll feel comfortable and then you give them information and it goes back and forth. Well, in a challenge group, when you're really a good communicator, you can learn way more about somebody because you're in essence being private with them, right? In a message or a text or whatever, versus being in a group class where now that person has to announce in front of the group that their nutrition was bad on the weekend. That doesn't happen. So I'm having people in these challenge groups be way more successful than some of the people in my live training. And that's pretty powerful to say. I've taught boot camps and done personal training forever. But this component, this opportunity that you have to communicate with these people is just so unique. And you have to take advantage of it. And you have to figure out a system to make sure that you're constantly touching those people. And you know what? I would love to tell you I have a great system. I do not. I mean, I'm playing around with Teamsy. I am at the point where I better frickin' figure something out, or things are gonna go I mean, I literally, my kids, I have 4 kids. I'm in the car a lot. I'm waiting, and I'll think, oh, I haven't texted her in a while, and I text her. That is not a good system. Okay, so I hope in 4 months I have this call again, and I tell you I have an amazing system. So I don't have all the answers. The other issue, now we can talk, I can take more questions, but the other thing that I want to tell you that we haven't even talked about is this. I believe that the way that I get people to buy more products is because of fear of missing out. FOMO. And I thought of this the other day when my son, who's a freshman at Madison, told me that he's really worried that that's going to cause his grades to slip. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, if somebody's going to a party, I'm going to want to go. And I was like, okay. And so I was thinking about it on the car ride back, knowing I had this call. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, FOMO, that's exactly why people buy products from me. You guys, I believe in these products. I learn about these products. I have 4 kids. You know how much laundry I have to do? Every time I have to fold laundry, I put on headphones and I call it my laundry and learn. And I find a YouTube, a lot of Shay Stanford. I got to tell you, love her. All right. Because it's not always about me learning about how to get more Success Club points. Okay. Learning how to increase my Instagram following or whatever. To me, if I don't know these products, nothing else in my business is going to work. Why do you think I did 12 programs last year? I wanted to be able to tell the guy that sees me at football what program he could do. I didn't really want to do P90X3. I know P90X, but I needed to know that I could do it from start to beginning, start to end, so I could tell somebody why that program was good for them. So Laundry and Learn, a lot of Shay Stanford, okay? And I'm sure that we can share that with you guys. She is a pharmaceutical rep that just educates you like Julianne does from the start to the finish of a product. And the thing that made me think about products more than anything was her on a live, I think it was a live on Facebook. And she said, do you she was talking, do you girls know your products? Can I tell you, when I hear of a Beachbody coach talking about Whole30, I just want to go scream from the mountaintops at them. What are you thinking? That made an impact. Do you know what she's saying? She's saying, why would you talk about Whole30 when you have 21-day ultimate reset? Why would you do Whole30? Why? Why wouldn't you talk about a product that helps you and your family? Why wouldn't you do a product that's going to help you? She was even talking about the Derm line. She was talking about, hydrate versus Gatorade. She has a great post about that, that she just recently did, which talks about the Gatorade organic product. She talked about, it makes me think of my husband. He would die if he heard me say this, but my husband on vacations needs Metamucil. And I was like, oh, what is this? What is this fiber, what is it, boost, digestive boost? And she did a thing on that. Why do you guys have Metamucil? Why do you buy Metamucil? You have a product in your product that is that product. Go learn about it. The other thing I want to tell you is, it may not seem like it adds up to much, but I have a woman that was really, her knees were really bothering her. So I started asking her questions, what's going on? And then she started to tell me the surface that she was on. And I remember telling Trina this, and Trina's like, Jane, you're a genius. I'm like, no, I'm not a genius. I said, well, you're on tile. You can't be jumping on tile. And so then I went into my BB links and I sent her the jump mat link. They don't sell the jump mat anymore. Well, they sell a different version of it. Do you know how much the jump mat was at the time? It was $99. She bought it because I told her to buy it. Okay. Right now, 80-day obsession girls. Okay. What is Autumn talking about? You need a foam roller. It's driving me crazy in the 80-day obsession test group that all these people are like, well, where should you get a foam roller? Where should you get a foam roller? Hello. We sell the Rumble roller and we sell a foam roller. You guys should be sending them links to those. You know, I love the grid, so don't get me wrong. There's great videos out there. But in the video, they use the foam roller from P90X2, I think it is. So when people are asking you, you know, sell them the product that you sell, you know. So Shay Stanford does a great job on that. So does anybody have any questions on that? Well, and foam, let me tell you this, 80-day obsession has been golden for me, okay? Golden. I use every single one of those Performance Line products, okay? Every single one. Energize, recover, and let me make it relatable, okay? This is what I say to my people when I'm talking to them. And you guys, this is not a lie. This is something I believe, okay? I have a crazy life. 4 kids, busy husband who's not home, crazy life. Do you guys think that within 20 to 30 minutes after my workout, I can make myself a meal? Do you really think I can? Because I can't. So I have to drink my meal, right? And I have to make sure that I get that in time. So when I'm talking to people who I know have lives like me, that's why when Julianne and I talk about good, better, best, I don't push them into that mega pack unless I really know that they are all in, one of those all in type people. This is what and this is exactly what I say. I say, you guys, this is what will get you the equipment and get you started, $170. But the $240 one is the one that the majority of the people I am putting in so they can experience what it's like to be all in on the nutrition plan for that first 30 days. So there's no question that you don't have an amazing start. So you're going to get the Shakeology, and I always sell on the value of the Shakeology, which Shay Stanford talks about. I'm not going to be repetitive. And I talk about why I use Recover and Energize. You know, Energize is just, I work out in the morning. It helps me get going. It reduces how much coffee I drink. You know, I always use that as a plus. And then that Recover just is what works for my lifestyle. I do not have time to make that meal after I work out. And then I always tell them that I recommend the 3-day refresh, and that when you buy that with that package, it's $40, and I give them the value. And I say, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You know, a lot of people were buying it last minute. I'm like, you're going to want to do it like right before your vacation. And then I set up my calendar such that I tell them the next 2 times we're doing a 3-day refresh group are, we just did one, January 22nd and April 16th. So I don't know if, and then I could go even further. And then we're going to do one the Tuesday after Memorial Day. Is it Memorial Day that's coming up? Yeah. So now they know that they have 3 opportunities to use that 3-day refresh. Or I'll say to them, do it before, you know, before you want to look good in a bikini. You know, that's the other thing. So that's a lot of information, but I just want to tell you guys that you have to relate it back to your life and make it relatable. Okay. The other thing is a lot of these moms that I'm dealing with have kids that are in high school. They're buying a Recover type product from a GNC. You need to educate them on the fact, and this is the exact language I use. I say, you know what? I love blue raspberry, but Beachbody will never have a product that is blue raspberry pre-workout because there's artificial everything in that. A lot of times these moms have kids that are drinking like C2 or C4, whatever that stuff is. They are not educated. And I say to them, listen, you guys, there is nothing worse than having a kid drink a product like that has stimulants in it that are like them drinking Monsters. You know, there's no difference in that product. There's artificial everything in that product. And I'll say to them, please please just do not let your kids drink that stuff. You know, and then I say, you know, just so you know, if you're thinking that Beachbody is going to come out with a different flavor other than lemon, you're probably not going to see blue raspberry. And then I tell them why, because they don't use anything artificial. But I mean, I've talked a lot. That's just stuff I'm passionate about. You know?
No, that's awesome. Like, it's just such good content. And a lot of people right now, like, Instagram stories are a hot topic because that seems to be like the popular place to be right now. And this morning, a girl that I follow had posted muscle milk, and she, at the top of the label, like right in her picture, it said artificial flavors and ingredients. And she said, fitness friends, what do you drink for a quick protein? And I said, oh my gosh, like, girl, all the artificial ingredients in that, you should really try Recover. And she's like, okay, sounds good. Send me the link. That's it. Done. But it's like, people don't know. Like, just like any of us on this call, like, we probably have learned so much just about everything, and we have so much more to learn, but you have to just keep learning and like gain confidence and be able to have a conversation like that and give a suggestion like that, because you know enough about the product that you know it would be better for that person.
And let me just say this, because this might help somebody because of 80-day obsession. You guys, these women or men, they're an 80-day obsession and they're between two brackets. Like, you know, like they're like I was, truthfully, I want to lose weight. So I was smack dab between A and B. Okay. So think about this. It's really pretty simple. If you're taking Recover and Recharge, you've just added Recover is 130 calories and 20 grams of protein, and Recharge is 100 calories and 20 grams of protein. So you've just added to that A bracket 230 calories and 40 grams of protein, right? So I'm still in bracket A, but look at what I'm getting from those products, you know, and I want to, and I'm not saying, you know, like Autumn says, you know, you're going to know if you're hungry or whatever, you don't want to sabotage your muscle, not to get too technical. So you may still need to go in B, but I will tell you this, that you're adding 40 grams of protein with those products. And she doesn't really ever talk about that, but it's so simple. It's so simple when you think about it. If you want to gain lean protein, you have to feed that muscle. And how do you feed that muscle? With protein. So when I have somebody that's hungry, I ask them if they're using Recover. And then if they say no, I say, I really think you should. And usually somebody will buy it. And you guys, I'm not being slimy. I really, truly think they should. It's not slimy. When you think that that's, as a fitness professional or as a health coach or whatever you want to call yourself, if you really think that's going to help them, yes, that's what you should tell them to do. And then I have, you know, people who are really sore or still struggling. I'll say, I really think you should add the Recharge. You know, I really think you should add the Recharge. And I've had people do it and they're like, thank you. And now in our group, we call it vanilla wine.
Love it. Another thing we talked about this morning on the Diamond call, Julianne was saying, like, giving people the option, and she made a graphic, and I'll ask her to share it in Team Rockstar Fit. I know she won't mind. But with the 80-day obsession and all these different mega packs and challenge packs available, who goes to Starbucks just by like a raise of hands? Like, who orders a grande? Like, not a tall, not the venti, but the grande, because it's like in the middle, right? So she was saying people will rarely choose the smallest package. They always choose the middle package because they want to feel invested. They don't want to miss out on, like, they don't want the whole thing, but they want the middle one. Like, and she just,
it's FOMO. It's FOMO.
Yes, it is. And like, I will always and forever think of like, okay, you're going to get the grande. Like, and she made this graphic that has, you know, the 100 and what is it, 160? I don't know. She made a graphic with all the materials and the price, and then she just sends that to people and asks them which one they want. And I think that would be such a nice tool for all the coaches to have. And we really have to be more confident in what we do and the products that we have. Don't just offer that bottom of the line, not bottom of the line, but the lowest price challenge pack, because that's the price objection you're putting on them yourself. Like you're holding back because you're nervous, because you think they're going to think it's too expensive because maybe at one time you had a price objection. But 3/4 of the time, I would say people will choose that middle of the road package if you educate them and show them what they are.
Mm-hmm.
I've had like 5 people order the mega pack, you guys, and 5 people that I've never worked with before, and I'm like, what? Sweet, yeah.
Yeah, I only got one person to do the mega pack. I compliment you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, but I gave them all the options and they chose it. And so if I wouldn't have gave them the option, I would have just sent them the link for the lowest challenge pack.
But I will say this, Teresa, I have said to people, hey, just so you know, I went with the mega pack. And then I always would say this because it's the truth. But my son and I both drink Recover. And then a lot of times they'll be like, oh, how old is your son? I'll be like, oh, he's 18. He lifts quite a bit and he drinks Recover after he works out. Oh, well, maybe my son should drink Recover after he works out. Yeah, I mean, you guys would be surprised by the type of conversations you can have if you just talk about that fear of missing out, right? That's that right there, right? Oh, well, my son's not doing what your son's not doing?
Right.
I mean, they're buying a crappy protein drink somewhere. Those kids they are.
What do you suggest? I'm just like, my wheels are turning, and I will obviously go look into this after we get off. But so my son just had the flu, like probably everybody on this call, somebody they know has had the flu in the last month. And we had a thing of Gatorade in the fridge, and I was like, he cannot have that. Like, do not buy that. Do not give that to him. And my husband's like, you are officially set. I'm like, no, look at the ingredients. And he looked and he's like, okay, yeah, like same thing with like drinking 7-Up and crackers when you're sick. Like, I just cannot bring myself to do it. I'm like, I don't drink soda when I'm healthy. Why would I drink soda when I'm sick? But then, like, what age do you think is too young for hydrate? Or I saw somebody else ask, can you drink Recovery when you're breastfeeding? That is a yes. And hydrate, I know it has been like talked about multiple times in the Beachbody Bumps group, like the pregnant Beachbody coach group. If you want the link to that, I have it, so let me know. But the supply from their breast milk after drinking hydrate has, like, everybody talks about how much their breast milk supply increases drinking hydrate. So that's just something to know.
Hydrated. That's right. Because they're hydrated. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And, my husband's an OB/GYN, and his answer is always talk to your doctor. I mean, with Recovery and all that stuff, I would never make that type of answer because I've learned from him that, and you may have a conservative doctor that will say no. One of my great friends is due in a couple of weeks here. She has not been drinking Shakeology, and you just have to, she's a coach, and you just have to respect the doctor. I mean, that's what he's, recommended, and move on.
It's funny. My OB/GYN, I had a girl reach out to me the other day, and she's like, hey, I recently found out that I am pregnant, and I'm seeing Dr. McFadden, who is my OB/GYN for both my kids. And I've been super constipated lately, and he told me to reach out to you and order a supply of Shakeology. And I was like, yes. I'm like, number one, my doctors recommend, like, he's sent me like a bunch of people, and I'm like, yeah, like,
and that's because iron is in most of those prenatals, and all those prenatals have iron. A lot of the women can't handle it. I couldn't handle the iron.
Yeah, so that was really cool. Like, I just like telling stories like that so that you guys can, like, I always say, like, a coach on my team the more you know, the more you can talk about. And obviously, like, physician stuff, I would always tell somebody who's pregnant or breastfeeding, like, make sure you talk to your doctor, but this is my experience. Again, always say that, make sure you talk to your doctor, because it is important. You don't know their underlying health issues.
And with regards to hydrate, I mean, I tell you what, guys, how old are your kids, Teresa?
Parker's 4, Jax is going to be 2 in May.
There are parents who are giving their 4-year-old Coke, Diet Coke, right? I mean, and I always say you should talk to your doctor, but hydrate, it's a staple in my house for when a kid comes home with a headache. They go up to the tub and they give themselves, you know, a lot of times at high school, these kids aren't getting enough water breaks and they're just dehydrated. They come home before dance, they drink a hydrate and they're fine. You know, it's dehydration. So, I mean, you still should talk to your doctor, but we always have a tub of hydrate here. The kids know that they can go to it. They don't necessarily love the flavor, but I'm like, put a lot of ice in it, you're fine.
Yeah, Kelly just said my daughter comes home with a headache and 30 minutes after hydrate, she's fine.
Yeah. It's also really good for hangovers because hangovers are dehydration, you know. So I sent a tub with my 18-year-old son because he's so great at school.
Just an angel sitting in his dorm room studying.
That's right, sitting in his dorm room and studying. But, oh, and then here's another one. So I'm not doing it on an 80-day obsession, but you guys, Wisconsin, I tested low for vitamin D. So who here knows what has vitamin D in it? That would be a good thing for somebody to take that tests low in vitamin D. Anybody know?
Like one of our products?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Definitely not raising my hand because I don't know.
Daily Sunshine.
Ah.
Vitamin D and calcium. Okay. So I do not drink milk, so I don't get a lot of calcium. So I tested low for vitamin D. Most everybody in the state of Wisconsin does. So a lot of people take vitamin D supplement, right? But guess what? You could use Daily Sunshine as your snack, which my daughter has with me before dance. We have our Daily Sunshine together, and that's a great way for them to get a snack. So they're not eating dinner before dinner, and they get their calcium and vitamin D.
I loved at Leadership, what's her name? Amber Kuiper talked about her kids and what she does with Daily Sunshine. Like, you know, when you have little kids, they are super picky and don't want to eat dinner or whatever. So she says they have to take a no thank you bite of each thing on their plate. So like she'll give them protein, vegetable, and a carb. And they have to take a no thank you bite of each thing. And then if they choose from there that they don't want to eat dinner, they have to have Daily Sunshine shake. Yeah. So I was like, that's a good idea. Except I think my kid would opt out of dinner every night and have a shake. But whatever. I mean, they're probably getting more nutrients from the shake. But I love the no thank you bite. Kind of made me think. It's totally off topic. But
yeah, anyway. So that is another thing. Daily Sunshine, educate yourself on that. The bars are coming out. You know, always be ahead of the curve, you guys. So, you know, we have 2B Mindset, which we don't know a lot about, coming out in April, which is we learned this in Vegas, that 70% of people have a disordered type of eating. Okay. So we have a lot of the population here that we have not even been able to touch yet. That have emotional eating, you know, eating disorders or whatever, that we're going to have an opportunity in April, I believe it is, to now. So you should really start thinking about that just in terms of your business and in terms of your messaging, which I talked about before, like become the expert on this product as we're learning about it. You know, there's some videos out there already on the Beachbody YouTube channel. Make sure that you're talking about that, because Beachbody knows what they're doing. They are an amazing company that has put on staff, you know, a physician. And you should know all these things. Once again, learning about why this company is not going anywhere. It's going to be here for a long time, and I'm awfully happy about that.
Ditto. Well, thank you so much. There's tons of comments saying thank you. I learned a lot. Yeah. This was my first lunch and learn. Thanks for hosting. I love this opportunity to connect, learn, and grow. Definitely, like, I think you know, each week, if you put it on your to-do list to like look up an ingredient in Shakeology and just learn about what it is. Like I did a post, like it was just a flat lay, and I said like getting in, I don't remember which ingredient I used, but whatever. I didn't talk about Shakeology, but I said like extra blah, blah, blah to increase energy and my mood, like in the form of chocolate. This is amazing. And like I had 3 people reach out to me and say like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's actually like part of my daily shake that I drink every day. Oh, what do you drink every day? Like doing things like that are easy conversation starters, that aren't necessarily like blasting Beachbody products in people's faces, although they're amazing, but like getting that curiosity marketing to work in your favor as well, using the education that you have from the products and the ingredients. So.
Yeah, and you know, that ties into one other thing, Teresa. Like I was thinking about this when Autumn, by the way, who doesn't love Autumn on these? I've grown to love her more and more and more. Like her whole rant about the scale, oh my God, I love that. That was so great. But one of the things that she talked about was, okay, if you're pregnant and you can't do this program, you can't physically do this program, sit, look at the videos, and educate yourself on it. It's funny, I have a fitness professional that's in my downline that hasn't done a whole lot. She's a bodybuilder. And she was like, Jane, I really just got to set aside time to do 21-day fix. And I'm like, you don't have to set aside time. You know all these exercises, right? Watch it. Because if there's a program that you think might be in your niche, but you have not had time to complete, do what fitness professionals do. I used to have on my to-do list was, you know, my learn list was to learn some new programming every day, because that's what I do. There's nothing different with you guys. If you're not a fitness professional, who cares? Go and learn what a, I don't know, 30, max 30, if you can't physically do it because you have bad knees, go and watch what those videos are like. Put it on in the background while you're doing your, you know, power hour. Know what he sounds like. Look at what some of the exercises are like. You can do that. It's okay. You don't have to do the program to understand the program or to be able to tell somebody what it's like. Be the expert. Make it your mission.
Love it. Cool. All right, so I challenge everybody. I'm going to put up a post in Team Rockstar Fit with the link to this recording, and I challenge you to go look up one product or one ingredient and share something with us, like an educational piece, something you learned about it in the thread below that, and we'll all learn from each other, but it will also carry on to our teams. Like when you attend calls like this, encourage your team to join too, because we all get better if we all get better, right? So as many people as can get plugged into these and the recordings. I know they're at lunch, so some people can't make it, but we get better by helping each other. So let's blow up that thread in Team Rockstar Fit. I'll get this up as soon as it uploads to YouTube, which ends up taking like an hour because I live in the woods. But I'll get it up today, and then comment below with what you learned about a product. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Jane. And everyone have a good day. Oh, she wants to take a picture. Smile.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you later.